Well, hello there and welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Dee Garone and I am South Florida wedding photographer. Now, if you've been following along, I actually got married in October 2020 and I claim to be a DIY bride. DIY, if you don't know, is do it yourself. It's a weird way to put it, right? Do it yourself. I didn't really do it all myself. I had a whole lot of help. So if you're thinking about doing DIY for your wedding and maybe trying to budget and make things a little bit more affordable, I don't know if DIY is the best way to go. That's my whole spiel, right? I'm a DIY bride, but I want to give you some pros and cons to being DIY. I hope I can give you some insight into doing it yourself and being thrifty, especially on the biggest day, or what everyone says is the biggest day of your life. I am here to help. If you have not already, please subscribe and like, and I will give you more advice and more fun DIY stuff anytime that I can. Today, I'm going to start off with the cons, okay? The cons of doing it yourself. Holy cow! Is it a lot of work? There is so much to do with a DIY wedding, especially if, like me, you decided to do everything DIY. The only things that I had brought in from a vendor were the food, which was a catered pizza. Technically, do it yourself because you literally told them what toppings you wanted. So fun, yeah. The donuts, which was our dessert, and the linens and rentals. While that still is technically on the DIY scale because I had to have our coordinators move the chairs in the middle of the ceremony and after the ceremony, before the reception. They moved the chairs from the ceremony space over to the reception space because I needed to cut costs and not have to double the number of chairs that I rented. So still kind of DIY. Literally everything else was do it yourself. I made the bouquets out of paper. All of the centerpieces were handcrafted in some way. All of the signs I made, all of the food bags for cocktail hour, popcorn bar, everything was done by me. And the help of a whole lot of neighbors and friends, because part of the DIY centerpieces were spray painted Part of the centerpieces were spray painted wine bottles. And what perfect time than a pandemic when everyone was kind of already drinking anyways to just make them drink more. And then they brought me the dirty bottles and I cleaned them up and spray painted them with the help of friends and family and created some really cool centerpieces. So not only was it a whole lot of work beforehand, I had a year to prep and get everything ready. It was a whole lot of setup time. My poor coordinators, they shout out to Lady and Liv because they're blessings from above. Holy bejesus, did I run them through the ringer. They were there from 9 in the morning until 1 in the morning the next day, just making sure everything was put together properly and as exactly as I envisioned and told them, and all the way to clean up and break down to make sure that after it had downpoured on my wedding day, that the sentimental pieces were saved and put into boxes for me so that I didn't feel like all of this work that I'd done had just gone to waste. So shout out to Lady and Liv who saved the freaking day. In terms of cost and budget, all honestly, I saved, but only because I cut out whole chunks of parts of a traditional wedding. You would normally have a florist. I didn't have a florist. I didn't have flowers. I booked a venue, shout out to the Bamboo Gallery, that was literally covered in flowers. Also, it rained the whole time, so I really didn't need any. And the centerpieces were sentimental and made by me, so I didn't need any flowers. And that was my choice. But that cut out a whole lot of budget. It did increase my budget on paper in trying to make paper flowers for my bouquets. But it was something that meant a lot to me and I thought looked super cool and kind of kept me doing something during the pandemic. So I guess I can't complain too much. In reality, for cost, unless you are thinking of doing something super extravagant, it probably evened out. I did have a lot of vases that were donated. I had a whole lot of wine bottles that were donated. I had globes, like the map globes, because our theme was travel, that were donated. So a lot of things that people had just gifted us that I was able to utilize. Also, a whole bunch of people took these things at the end of the night. So a lot of the globes were gifted basically as gifts to people who just took the centerpieces, because I swear, you can't leave a wedding without a centerpiece. I don't know why people think that, but it's okay because I made them, so fine. Like, you get a piece of our wedding and I'm okay with it. I just kind of want to know who took them so I can be like, oh yeah, okay, you're the one who stole the stuff. But it meant something. And I think more than saving money, I put my heart and soul into each and every table. And it makes me teary-eyed, yeah, because each one of them, each table was labeled as a place that me and my husband had gone together. So it wasn't just a table number, it was a memory, and everyone got to take home a memory, and everyone got to experience this other memory that we had. So doing DIY can be very satisfying because it was super sentimental and it was something that I loved. Doing it all yourself, the list is long. Like I said, every single detail had to be thought of. I made like 30 signs. I don't know if anyone ever read any of them, right? They saw popcorn bar and went there, or they saw guest book and went there, but I don't know how many people actually saw all the work that I put into it. So who knows if it actually matters to anyone else. It mattered a whole lot to me, and I think that's what matters. So if you're debating doing DIY, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to go as crazy as I did, and you don't have to be as particular as how it is supposed to look if you're doing it yourself. But do have a coordinator that is going to help you put it all together and keep your vision alive. Because if that's something, if you're going to DIY, don't cut on costs of a coordinator. That will be your biggest assistance. In conclusion, DIY is awesome and it means something. And I loved my wedding and it came out perfect, even though it was completely not anything that we ever would have imagined. But because it was so special, it was perfect. So if you're debating doing DIY, I won't say do it all. You don't have to do the madness that I did, but at least put in some personal touches and some stuff that means something to you. Because while it's claimed to be the biggest day of your life, it really isn't. There's going to be so many big days that this is just a big one. You want the adventure to get there to be as big as the day. So I hope I convinced you to have fun on your wedding planning. And if you have any questions or need anything from me, I'm here to help. I hope I didn't make you cry, because it's so sad. It was such a beautiful day. Blessings on you in your planning. Have a great one.